When we think about the future of AI, we probably picture some slick, sterile world run by robots. But the reality? It's shaping up to be a lot more chaotic and a lot more human. So today, let's explore that messy journey from total chaos to a totally new kind of partnership. Okay, so we're constantly hearing about how AI can do these incredible, superhuman things, right? Like beating a grandmaster at chess. But here's the funny thing when you look at how it's actually being used in the real world, the reality is often clumsy, chaotic, and yeah, sometimes just plain bizarre.
I mean, take McDonald's. They spent 3 years testing this AI drive-through system. And what happened? They had to pull the plug. Why? Because the thing started adding hundreds of unwanted chicken McNuggets to people's orders. You can't make this stuff up.
And believe me, the McNugget incident is not a one off. We're seeing this stuff everywhere. Newspapers publishing entire summer reading lists of books that don't even exist. An AI assistant hired to help with coding accidentally deleting a company's entire production database. These kinds of major screw ups are happening more and more.
Look, a rogue chicken nugget order is pretty funny, I'll admit. But the thing is, these failures can have really serious consequences for businesses, for people, for everyone.
So, what is going on here? Why can an AI master one of the most complex games ever invented, but fail at something as simple as taking a drive-through order? Well, this weird contradiction actually gets to the very heart of how AI works, and it's all explained by this one fascinating idea. And that idea is called Moravec's paradox. And trust me, it completely flips our understanding of what's easy and what's hard. So this was first pointed out way back in the 1980s. The paradox is basically this. The skills that we humans barely even have to think about, stuff that's been baked into our DNA over millions of years of evolution, those are the things that are incredibly difficult to teach a computer. The cognitive scientist Steven Pinker put it perfectly. He said the hard problems are easy and the easy problems are hard. What we think of as simple is actually deeply complex, and what we find difficult, like massive calculations, is often just about raw computing power. Just think about it for a second. Recognizing a friend's face in a crowd or catching a ball, it feels completely effortless to us, right? But what's really happening is that we're tapping into this ancient, powerful knowledge that's been fine-tuned over eons for our very survival. But for an AI, well, you just flip that whole thing on its head. Playing chess at a world-class level, that's just a data processing problem. But understanding the context and nuance of a simple joke, it's almost impossible for them. And that complete reversal, that's the paradox in a nutshell. Okay, so this isn't just some old abstract theory. It has very real consequences for us today. It creates something researchers are calling the jagged technological frontier. There was this huge study from Harvard Business School that really dug into this. They took hundreds of top-tier consultants and integrated AI into their daily workflow to see what would happen. And the results? They were pretty startling. So get this, for creative tasks that were inside what the AI is good at, the consultants who used it performed 40% better. A huge jump. But for complex strategic problems that fell outside that AI frontier, they were actually 19% worse. They were less likely to get the right answer. That's a massive difference. And this really gets to the core of it. AI isn't about replacing us. Its true power, its real promise, is in augmenting us. It's meant to be a partner, not a replacement. So the big question is, how do we actually build that partnership? Well, that same Harvard study found that the people who are most successful with AI all fell into one of two groups, using one of two very different strategies. The first group they called centaurs, like the mythical half-human, half-horse. These people are masters of delegation. They use their human judgment to figure out exactly which tasks to give to the AI and which ones to handle themselves. Then you have the cyborgs. They take a totally different approach. They weave the AI into pretty much every single step of their process. It's this constant fluid back and forth, almost like the AI becomes an extension of their own mind. If we look at how a centaur works, you can really see this partnership in action. The human is always in the driver's seat. They define the problem up front, and they make the final call at the end. In between, they use the AI's incredible processing power to generate ideas and analyze data. But it's always the human's expertise and judgment that shapes the final outcome. But this whole partnership model, centaurs, cyborgs, this might just be the beginning. Some thinkers are looking even further ahead, to a future where our relationship with AI gets a whole lot more personal. So, at the heart of all the talk about AI safety is this thing called the alignment problem. Basically, how do we make sure these incredibly powerful systems actually align with human values? The problem is humanity is, well, it's a pretty vague and messy concept. How do you align an AI with something you can't even clearly define? Well, thinkers like cognitive scientist John Vervaeke are arguing that maybe we're thinking about it all wrong. They say you can't achieve true alignment with some giant one-size-fits-all AI. What you actually need is intimacy. The vision here is for an AI that isn't aligned with humanity in some abstract sense, but one that is deeply and personally aligned with you. Imagine an AI that learns your unique patterns, your rhythms, your goals. It would act like a personal guardian, protecting your privacy and your interests, and helping you navigate this increasingly complex digital world with your own values intact. And that brings us right back to where we started. Whether we're talking about a simple tool today or some kind of intimate AI partner in the future, the most effective way to use this technology always comes back to this fundamental idea. Machines provide the processing power, but we, the humans, provide the judgment. So as these tools get more and more powerful and more personal, the really important question isn't just, what can AI do? It's what kind of partners do we want them to be? Because in the end, as we build these systems, we're also building our future relationship with them. And that's a choice that will define not just the future of technology,